What is up, guys? It is AJ from MMA Experts, and we are talking about what is next for Khamzat Chimaev, who is the next opponent. There's been talk of Demian Maia. Now they're saying maybe not Demian Maia. Khamzat's going to be staying in Las Vegas, waiting for them to return from Fight Island, and then he will have a 5-round main event scheduled versus a ranked contender. I think there's a few options for who are the potential opponents. The first one I want to briefly talk about is Demian Maia, who I do believe is still going to be on the table. If we have that matchup, I did a prediction previously on it, but especially after seeing Khamzat Chimaev show very heavy knockout power in his fight with Gerald Meerschaert, I don't think Maia really will want that fight. And if they do get into it, I really don't think there's much of a chance for Maia here. Khamzat, being such a high-level wrestler, is going to be able to fend off any grappling attack Demian Maia threatens Khamzat with. And then for the striking, there's fairly significant difference. I think Khamzat would dominate and probably knock out Demian Maia fairly easily on the feet. I think this fight, if it does happen, you're looking at first or second round knockout. I do think Khamzat could compete in the grappling department with his high-level wrestling skill, but why risk it against Demian Maia, such a high-level Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt? Better off keep the fight on the feet and dominate Demian Maia there, and I do think he will knock him out. I think he would crack him with a big straight shot, and I think Demian Maia at this age, 42, will not be able to take too many clean power punches, especially by Khamzat Chimaev, who just knocked out a very big Gerald Meerschaert. I mean, Meerschaert was actually supposed to fight Ed Herman previously at light heavyweight. So Khamzat Chimaev going down to 170 is an absolute beast. He's got heavy power, and obviously he's going to have the grappling skill. And against Maia, Khamzat Chimaev is just going to be too much for him. But there is a possibility we don't see Demian and we see somebody else. I'm going to bring up these other options. Let's get into the next possible opponent for Khamzat Chimaev. All right, next one here we're going to talk about is Michael Chiesa. This would be a very interesting matchup because Michael Chiesa is a tall guy, 6'1", will have the .5 reach advantage. It's not really going to be anything. He's not from Brazil there. That's actually a mismark. Apologize about that. But he does have some really good Brazilian Jiu Jitsu skills. I think Khamzat Chimaev would overwhelm Michael Chiesa with pressure on the feet and on the ground, really. I think essentially Michael Chiesa won't have the grappling defense for Khamzat Chimaev's wrestling, but he does pose a threat of submissions. But seeing past fights from Michael Chiesa losing to Kevin Lee, how he did, granted that was at lightweight, I think that Khamzat Chimaev gets Michael Chiesa out of there. I think he dominates that fight as well. I think the style matchup is fun, though, and it is intriguing, but I do feel that Khamzat runs him over in 2 rounds, same as I felt with Maia, maybe even 1, especially on the feet if they get to striking. I've always felt Chiesa is okay on the feet, but I've never saw any, very strong knockout power from him or any really high-level boxing skill. He's a decent striker, but his grappling is where he shines, and Khamzat is going to be able to stifle Michael Chiesa's grappling. And on the feet, Khamzat Chimaev would dominate him. I'm predicting in that fight probably first or second round stoppage. I could see first by TKO. I think that Michael Chiesa would know that he would, at least he would try to probably engage the grappling, because I think he does know on the feet he would be no match for Khamzat Chimaev, but I don't think he would have a chance at getting Khamzat down. And I could see Khamzat Chimaev taking down Michael Chiesa and ground and pounding him and dominating him and submitting him as well, similar to how Kevin Lee did, as I mentioned. But the fighter that I believe would be probably the most intriguing matchup for Khamzat Chimaev is somebody that would be unexpected. He is in the top 15 of the welterweight division, but he doesn't have as high level of a name, nor has he fought as high level of opponents and beaten high level opponents. Granted, the fighter is Vincente Luque. He did fight Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I think this fight right here is actually probably the fight to make. I think it's a sweet main event. Vincente Luque will be more than willing to stand and trade. Now, can Vincente defend off the grappling attack of Khamzat Chimaev? I do think he's going to struggle with that. I do think he'll be put on the ground. But Vincente Luque is a good grappler in his own right. Not at the level of Khamzat Chimaev. And even the striking. I mean, Luque can really strike. I don't think at the level of Khamzat, but I do feel because Luque is a bit of a generalist, a guy who can do it all, but definitely has good striking, I think he could maybe hit Khamzat with some decent shots and give him a fair test. But I do still think Khamzat Chimaev stops him. And I do think he does it in 2 rounds or less. But I think Luque gets more shots off, lands better punches than either Demian Maia or Michael Chiesa would. On the grappling, obviously, I don't feel Luque will pose much of a threat, but if he can defend a couple takedowns, I don't think he essentially would for long. He may be able to fend off one or two, but I do think he would be put on his back eventually and ground and pounded if Khamzat chooses to, and I think he will. But on the feet, Luque is a serious threat to anybody. Granted, I do think Khamzat will be able to outstrike him by a bit, but I do think Luque would get his fair share of shots in and be the best test for Khamzat Chimaev. So if it's my choice, who is next for Khamzat Chimaev? I like Vincente Luque. I feel like Vincente Luque is a really fun fighter, and I think Khamzat Chimaev and him will have a very entertaining fight. And it'll be a good way to break inside of that top 15, beating a guy who's been in the UFC for a fair while now, Ultimate Fighter veteran. And honestly, looks like, a guy that's going to stay in the top 15 for a fairly long time. He's 28 years old. Khamzat Chimaev's 26. I think it's a battle of bright prospects. But I do think Khamzat Chimaev does get it done. And I think he would overwhelm Vincente Luque. But those are three options, three possibilities. For me, I like the Luque one the best. Yes, it is probably the smallest fight in terms of rankings. I think Luque is the farthest back in the UFC welterweight rankings. But I don't think that really matters. I think that this fight will bring out the best of Khamzat. Granted, it's not that he won't look amazing against the other two. I do think, though, that Luque will come to fight and will come to win. I think there's less of a chance of Luque just being completely obliterated. I think he will stand and attempt to at least trade. Now, Khamzat Chimaev may go in there, double leg Luque, put him right on his back, and start dominating with ground and pound and make him look how he made Rise McKee and John Phillips look. But if he wants to strike, he will have a fair test with Vincente Luque here. Potential matchups, there are a lot of them. I do see Khamzat Chimaev taking his career very far. I see him moving into the top 5 probably sometime in 2021, maybe early 2022. And I do think a potential title fight could happen before the end of 2022, or even before that. We could see him fighting for a belt in 2021 if he's on the fast track. I know Dana White's a big fan of him. Obviously, a lot of people are becoming big fans of Khamzat Chimaev. I'm a big fan of him myself, and I do think he has a lot of skills, and as an analyst breaking him down, he has what you look for in a fighter: elite level grappling with also high level striking, and that's what's going to give so many people problems with Khamzat Chimaev. You put him in there against Kamaru Usman. Granted, not saying right now he'll beat Usman, but there is a chance that he would, because if he can fend off any of the grappling attacks of Usman, I do believe Khamzat Chimaev is the better striker between the two. He's less robotic, he's a lot more smooth, and I think his fight IQ is higher as far as striking goes. But we will see when we get there. Khamzat Chimaev, what is next for him? We will find out very soon. I appreciate everybody for watching. Make sure you smash that like button. Turn on those post notifications. Definitely, guys, subscribe to the channel. Gonna have tons of fight predictions coming out. Thank you all so much. Also, follow my social media, Instagram, Twitter, and I'll see you all in the next video.